He came back, train got picked up, mom went back to his house, and the other 5 guys that went off the board the same way he did, all standing in his, all standing in the yard. He's the last one back. Wow. In the North View of Guam, 29th Bomb. Yeah. Flew into Tinian the night they did the first big firebomb raid on Tokyo. And we had just got on overseas from a phone from Hawaii to Kwajalein, Tinian, and they said, you guys just landed, sit here, we're taking off in this mission. The first big firebomb mission we launched. So watch those planes go, man. He said, get your guts going, knowing that the next week it's you. Oh gosh, yes. On plenty of firebomb missions. Yeah, they didn't fly anything but over Japan, and they landed on Iwo twice when they got shot up. They said that those planes took that island. I wouldn't be here, neither would you. they flew over. They flew over Iwo while the battle was going. They used to sleep on the 4th of July down there. Yeah. So we can go. I'll call this meeting to order. Roll call. Chatting and not booting up. Who did he say was late tonight? Kirk Lund, just so you know, Kirk Lund will be late tonight. He is called ahead. And Laura Payne had a fall today, and she didn't break anything. She said she was just too sore to come to the meeting. So, okay, so you're here. We can mark your presence.
We have 24 present and 6 absent.
Thank you.
Give that you're present.
Well, I didn't catch that. Did someone make a comment I missed here?
I think it was Mary.
Could you repeat yourself, Mary? We didn't understand what you said. Oh, never mind. It was background.
I didn't say anything.
It was background on. Okay, thank you. Let's just stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Morris, could you lead us?
Oh yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's have a moment of silence. Contemplate our discussion tonight. Thank you. Have your seats. We're in compliance with the open meetings law.
We are, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll start with the approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. So moved by Supervisor Backlund. Do I have a second?
Second.
Bunch of them. Pick one. Jeff Johns. All right. And all in favor all in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as printed. Supervisor Renard, approval of January 11th, 2022 minutes.
I move approval of the minutes as presented.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Morris. Any discussion, corrections, additions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. Communications, Treasurer's Report. I believe that's on your desk. Retirement recognition.
I could find something for Debbie for watching.
Good evening, everyone.
I'm Terry with Human Resources, and about every 3 months I come before the board to present to you some retirements that happened within the last quarter. So we're going all the way back to September of 2021, and we do have 7 retirees. The shortest term, which it just tells you how many years that we we're losing here, from almost 22 years of service all the way up to 46 and a half years of service. So tonight I'd like to recognize first the individuals who unfortunately are not able to be here, and then I'd like to call individuals up who are here to be properly recognized. The first is David Cool, who was a highway worker for almost 27 and a half years, and Doug Schenke, who was there for 46.6 years, which was amazing. The other 2 individuals, Sandy Shunk from the health department, is in Hawaii right now. I thought that was just really unrealistic that she decided to be there instead of here. But she was with the county for almost 33 years. And then Mary Beth Haney, who's also on vacation for almost 36 and a half years from the Register of Deeds office. So again, a lot of years, the combination of these 7, 232 years of experience here at the county. With that, I'd like to call the chief up to do our next recognition.
It's an honor for me to be here tonight to recognize one of our retired now deputies, Jay Leonard. Sheriff Milbrath would have loved to have been here, but he's in Washington tonight attending the National Sheriff's Association. Deputy Jay Leonard started his career with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office on January 17, 2000. Prior to Jay's career with the Sheriff's Office, he worked 2 years for the University of Wisconsin Superior Police Department, as well as 5 years with the Wisconsin State Fair Police Department. In total, Jay Leonard has committed 28 and a half years of service to various communities throughout the state of Wisconsin. Deputy Leonard has been instrumental in the Sheriff's Office training programs during his entire career. Since 2013, Deputy Leonard has trained dozens of newly assigned patrol deputies as a field training officer, providing them with the foundation of knowledge, safety, and professionalism as they embark on the journey to become patrol deputies. Deputy Leonard's other certifications are numerous. Deputy Leonard is a certified firearms and taser instructor. He was a member of the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office SWAT team, a sniper, certified. Deputy Leonard was a rifle instructor, a vehicle contact instructor, an emergency vehicle operations instructor, just to name a few. By far, one of the most rewarding accomplishments that Deputy Leonard and his wife, Deputy Vanessa Leonard, have bestowed upon the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office is the Police Officer Support Team, POST. The Leonards established the Sheriff's Office POST team to ensure that our staff's emotional, mental well-being would be addressed in a confidential and empathetic manner. Our agency is truly grateful for the efforts that have been put into this program by both the Leonards. Deputy Jay Leonard's personnel file has over 15 letters of recognition and thank you letters from citizens and various officials from Jefferson County and surrounding areas contained within it. These letters are a true reflection of Deputy Leonard's dedication and character. As I met him tonight at the door to catch up on what he's been doing lately, like all good cops, he got another cop job. So he's willing to meet any of you in the corridor of Johnson Creek area where the speed limit is still 45 miles per hour and has been for the last 40 some years. As my uncle told me when I was 16 years old and going through there, and it used to be a wayside, which is now a pond, Jeff, make sure you slow down here because those Jefferson County cops always hang out there. So with that, Jay, thank you for your years of service.
Next, I'd like to ask Lee Scherer, the District Attorney's Office Manager, to come forward for the next recognition, please. And the crew that is behind her, please come up and come forward.
Right across here.
We have a little party here tonight. So it is my extreme honor to be here to say thanks to Kathy for her more than 30 years of service to Jefferson County. It was truly an experience to work with Kathy for the last 8 years of my career. Kathy has a way of listening, touching your heart, and making you smile, same day, all the time. Right, Kath? I'm putting her on the spot quite a bit tonight. And I promise to keep it short. We have a couple other employees from the DA's office. Lori Anderson, the Victim Witness Coordinator. Jamie McCoy is our first offender program director. We have Kathy's son, Chad. Kathy's sister, Christy. Thank you for being here, you guys. And I want Kathy to just address you guys briefly.
Oh, my goodness. Well, when I wrote my letter to DA Monica Hall and the office, I told them that I've saw a lot of changes in the last 30 years in just from the mechanics of your job and then just in everything. But like I told them, I said, it's time for me to step down. 30 years in criminal law is enough for me. I work part-time at Tanalate. I've done that for 5 years, and I'm there now. My dad was a World War II veteran, so I am going to volunteer at the VA office here and help Yvonne a little bit. So I'll be seeing people so I don't feel like I'm losing all my family that I worked with here for 30 years, and a lot of them have been in our office for many years. But just time for me to do some other things. And the people here are incredible, and they'll be in my heart forever. But thank you all, and thank you for this special night.
Kathy's got this beautiful tan. She just got back from vacation. She knew where to be tonight. So I want to thank Kathy from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the county.
I never really won anything big in my life.
Thank you all.
No issues, just give us a second. Have a little bit of a surprise here, so. I forgot about this. Oh my gosh.
I forgot to do something. There's a little surprise in this for Kathy. She didn't know we were going to do this, so I'll let Ben take it over.
Hello, Kathy, Brett Favre. I got a chuckle out of it. Your coworkers are,
That's not me.
along with myself, I want to congratulate you on 30 wonderful years in Jefferson County. Now, I got a chuckle out of it. They said that you're a huge Packer, Favre, Rodgers, et cetera, fan. You got two life-size cutouts of me, one of Aaron, but you always put me first. Fist bump. Love it. Hey, enjoy your retirement. You deserve it. Have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and I greatly appreciate you being a fan. It means a lot. Take care.
Wow.
Thank you.
Not sure how Lee forgot about that. So now I think one up, I got to plan my retirement. Who do I want?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Who?
Aaron Rodgers.
Who? With that, our final retiree, most of you probably recognize Gail Scott from our health department, who has been with us for over 40 years. And with that, I'm going to ask Ben Waymeyer to come up, who has a few presentation for her.
So when I started looking at what to say about Gail, and part of it was when Steve Sharp reached out to me from the newspaper, is how do you encompass almost over 40 years of service to any organization, let alone, quite honestly, what took place the last 2 years that Gail had to plan for. But sometimes the story is more than just what happened now. I think part is to look back of what Gail did during her career, and I could be going for a while to talk about it, but there's so many different highlights. And some of it's just things that have taken place, and part of it is the culture of the organization, and part of it is where the organization is at today, and the team that she's built that's carrying forward the needs and the health of the county and working with our partners. Some examples of things that have taken place that show what that work was our Healthy Communities Gold Star rating. That was 2 years running. That just doesn't happen overnight. That is a lot of planned work, but more importantly, it's a lot of planned partnerships. And so I think one thing that on many of the calls towards the last part of the year, when we were on calls with the hospital systems, other medical providers, as we're talking through things going on, one thing was from Gail was being collaborative with our health partners, with the doctors, the nurses, and others who give care to our communities, to the Watertown Health Department and the collaboration there, to the Southern region, where the group that does a lot of healthcare work, both for public health and our hospital system. They're going to have a presentation for you, but they didn't get to us quite yet. But they want to honor Gail because of all of her work she did with that organization as well. There's other parts of Gail that she did in terms of her passion for her community. So if you don't know, Gail grew up, born, raised in Fort Atkinson. And so if you ever had a chance to talk to her, she has a lot of pride in that community, in that region, and the stories behind that. But part of it was her endeavor to help those who needed health care. And so, as Kristen Wallace said, she's a godmother or grandmother, depending on which day we're talking, of two of our clinic systems. So she was a founding member of our Rock River Community Clinic, which originally started as a free clinic in the basement of the health department itself, and that she was part of the board of directors to the very end, in terms of overseeing it as we merged into a new organization. She's also key in the development of the dental clinic that's in Fort Atkinson as well, and seeing that going forward and providing a needed service for our community members. If you do not know, it's for those who don't have insurance, it's very tough to go get dental care. And so it was a great partnership with Fort Healthcare and getting grants, and Marquette Dentistry School was part of that program too, but Gail was a key part of that moving forward. So as we looked at how we responded, a lot was planning the things that Gail did for her whole career, and got her ready. And it wasn't just the pandemic, it was responding to fires. It was part of the response to the flood. It was going out to a family in need because they had poor living conditions, and not just dealing with the poor living conditions, but finding the help for that family so they could have a new start. That's what Gail did. That was her heart. That was her heart of how she cared for the organization, but also cared for the people that she was charged to take care of. And so I'm very proud, and she deserves this retirement to get the chance to rest, although I think she's already trying to get busy too, like Jay back there is. But her time to relax, and proud of what she did for our organization and setting up for the future success as well. And that's something I think we need to think about too as we go through the process of transition, is many of our leaders have prepped our future leaders for tomorrow too. And so that's an important part of what they do. So without further ado, I just want to, on behalf of the county, I want to thank Gail for over 40 years of service, especially the last 2 years of what you really did for the organization. A lot longer days than we had before. But you made it through, and you really set us in a good spot to move forward. So, Gail Scott. Absolutely.
I won't be long, I promise. Oh. I won't be long, but I wanted you to know that my grandfather was one of you. And I never met him. He died in his 40s, but he was a county board supervisor from the city of Fort Atkinson. And my mother worked in the county clerk's office, and so did my uncle. And he thought my mom was really cute and would make a great partner for my dad. So the courthouse actually gave birth to me, right? Because if they hadn't met, I wouldn't be here. And I am a proud Fort girl, as Dick Schultz knows, and his sister babysat for me. So, well, you know, there's just a lot of connections, and I've been fortunate enough to have all those connections and to form many, many new ones. And one of my favorite parts of the job, which is actually the worst part of the job, became public health preparedness and making sure that I tried to keep our community safe and respond within, you know, the bounds that I could. I know some people wanted me to do more, but sometimes you're tied by legislation and laws and your authority. So but I want to thank you and Ben. When Ben talks about long days and nights, sometimes we were up 24 hours in the beginning of the pandemic, and my team was as well. And one of them, when I hired her on, Elizabeth Chilson, I intended for her to be my replacement, and thank goodness she will be. And you will have a wonderful person at the head of the health department, as well as the team. Mary Bender has taken on her role as public health program manager. And I wanted to say just a word about Sandy Shunk, who couldn't be here tonight because she's in Hawaii. And I really wanted her here because Sandy and I have been partners in crime for all of those 33 years. I hired Sandy, and I called her my brain, and Sandy had a Gale folder, and every day in the morning she'd look through the Gale folder and she'd give me a call and say, hey, you know, that contract needs to be signed in 2 days. And I always delighted when I could say to her, I already signed it. It's already in. But you know, that didn't happen a lot. So without Sandy, the health department definitely would not have run as smoothly. And another funny story is Sandy, we called her the copy police. No offense to the police officers, we love you all. But if you made too many colored copies, you got an email. And Sandy would remind you that we only could make so many, and the extra ones cost more money. So, and I always begged her when I did the annual report, please don't send me an email. I have to make all these copies. So anyways, but she's absolutely fabulous business office manager and our accountant. And she really was a wonderful person to work with. And Michelle Schmidt was promoted, and she will also do a wonderful job. So I just want to thank you, and thank Ben again. You've got a absolutely fabulous county administrator, and Steve, and the Board of Health, which includes Kirk and Dick, and then Dr. Williams, who's been our medical advisor, and Maria Dobble, and then Sam Lamerle from Ford Healthcare. And also thanking Ford Healthcare for their partnership. We could not have gotten the community dental clinic or the free clinic going without them. So, and Watertown Hospital also. So thank you all.
Thank you, Gail. Have a good retirement. 2023 budget calendar. Mr. Waymeyer, would you like to comment on that?
So, this last finance committee meeting, we reviewed the upcoming schedule. I know we just approved the current year's budget, but we're prepping for the 2023 budget already as well. And so we just want to make sure, as we've started doing this in the past, is communicating to the board what we have outlined as a tentative schedule go forward. So you are aware of some of the key milestones that are coming up. So as you work on your committees and the staff that are part of that, you understand where we're at. So some of the initial things, as you will see, is just really kicking off about IT, capital needs, and staffing levels. And then getting into June and July is where the real grunt of the work comes in. So if you have any questions about the calendar, feel free to reach out to myself, Mark, or Mr. Jones. And we can answer any questions. We'll continue to monitor this in terms of if we have to make any schedule changes, but just so you're aware as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we have zoning committee, notice of public hearing. Ms. McGraw?
The zoning notice of public hearing will take place February 17th, 2022 at 7 p.m.
Thank you. And that takes us to public comment. Is there any public comment tonight? No, sir. None tonight for items on the agenda. So we'll go to annual reports, county board meeting fee reports, 2020-21.
So this was handed out and sent out. If this is in your packet, this is an annual requirement. We realized we did not publish the 2020 for everybody from last year, so we did make that as well. But this is an annual requirement from the board rules. So for your information, if you have any questions, let us know.
Thank you. Executive Committee, discussion proposed 2022 to 2024 county board rules. Supervisor Renard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to introduce the proposed rule changes and move for their approval, just so they are properly before us, and then I'll try to explain what's going on here. So I will move for approval of these Board of Supervisor Rules of Order for 2022 to 2024.
Second from Supervisor Christensen. Discussion. Supervisor Renard, sorry.
Yeah. So tonight is the first reading of the rules that will govern the operation of the county board 2022 to 2024. We usually do this, so we won't vote on the rules tonight. This is the first reading, and I'm not going to move to suspend the rules to speed this along, because I think it's worth everybody taking maybe a month to look them over, see what you think, if you have any suggestions, comments, questions. The executive committee will be meeting again on February 23rd. So if you see anything in here that you think isn't right or needs to be changed, or you question why we're doing that, you can Zoom in or attend our meeting, and you can always contact me or Ben or Blair in the interim. But just to sort of get the party started on this, I'd just like to go through some of the highlights of this so you can kind of focus on the big points. There's a lot of red lettering on there that kind of looks a little alarming, but it's not as bad as it looks, most of it. So on the first page there, you'll see there's a lot of language there about ways to delay the November meeting and also the April meeting. Nobody can remember this ever having happened, but this is basically state statutes that allow us to do this in case we want to. And it also, the November meeting delay language also would jive with our budget process, so that we're sure that we're going to get our budget approved in November like we always do. At the top of the next page, you'll notice that the time for the April meeting, that's the organizational meeting, has been changed to 4 o'clock in the afternoon instead of 5. So we don't have the kind of meltdown that we had this past April when people had to leave and there was, business on the floor. Let's see. The next point that I want to make about this is under 3.02, organization, paragraph 6. It's on that next page. This is new language that is setting a policy for remote attendance at county board meetings and at committee meetings. We haven't had this language before. We've been sort of operating under some emergency rules that we adopted for the first time in the spring of 2020, I think it was, wasn't it? It was right at the start of the pandemic when a few of us even knew what Zoom was, and now we're pretty good at it. This is really letting everybody know that Zoom is not going away. We have rules for using it. So please give that a close read. It's pretty basic stuff, really. It talks about, giving notice of if you're going to be on Zoom, how to do it, what happens if you lose your signal, what happens if the boardroom loses its signal, and also sets forth some policy for remote attendance of closed session meetings, which we thought was pretty important. It's basically the honor system, but at least now we'll have a policy for that. Paragraph number 8, their vacancies, that's read only because we moved it from a different place where it didn't seem to really belong. It had been under the section on open meetings. So now it's in the kind of the logical place under organization. At the top of the next page is new language that clarifies the procedure for what to do if you think you have a conflict of interest or you think you have a possible conflict of interest with some matter of business before the board. And you'll notice that it stipulates how to do this, how to notify the chair or the board chair or the committee chair that you are going to have a conflict and you won't be voting, what to do, possibly leaving the room during the whole discussion of this. And then importantly, and this has always been the case, but we decided to put it in writing, that if anybody thinks they might have a conflict of interest, they can always ask our corporation counsel for advice. And that person will always be available to give you an opinion or even a written one. I utilize this myself this past year, and Blair is very prompt at responding. So you can always, he's like your advisor on conflict of interest stuff. In paragraph number 9, that just clarifies really how items get on agendas, either on the board agenda or on the committee agenda. And it really emphasizes that the chair of the board and the chair of committees are the people who set the agenda with the support of, well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's in a different section. We'll get to that part. But this basically is sort of clarifying how things get on the agendas and the language about the 5 county board members proposing something and what happens with that. It's almost never done, but it's a good thing to know if you're so inclined to make use of that. This is the part about the agendas is on the next page under 3.04, duties of official. This really language was just tweaked to emphasize and make clear that the county board chair or the committee chairs set the agenda for their meetings with the support of staff. It just makes it sort of clear who's all involved in putting the agendas together. Where's the next thing I wanted to mention? Under 3.06, boards, commissions, committees, and other bodies, you'll notice at the bottom of the page, there's a new section. I guess that should be F? Well, we'll figure that out. We added the drainage board to our list. Even though the county board has no jurisdiction over this board, they are appointed by the circuit court judges. But we wanted to include them here because our staff is now providing the drainage board with some support and advice. So they're not kind of lost in the bureaucracy. They're in our rules now. Let me see. The other one is under paragraph M in that section. That is just language that makes it clear that the appointments to the local emergency planning commission are confirmed by the county board. We usually do this, but now we have it in writing and it's a policy, a stated policy now. And also there's new language in here that allows the county board chair to appoint additional members beyond the 13 required under state statutes, and that county board supervisors may be appointed to this committee. The same kind of concept is in paragraph R with the Traffic Safety Commission. It provides for the chair, and I think maybe that should be county administrator may appoint additional members. But we wanted to make clear that county board supervisors can be elected to the Traffic Safety Commission, and that the 12 members required by statute is a minimum, and we can go over that. Similar language there in paragraph S with the Veteran Service Commission, that county board supervisors may be appointed to this commission, and therefore there could be more than 5 members. All right, now we're on section 3.07, rules of the standing committees. And with all due respect to those of you who are committee clerks, or you have been committee clerks, we're proposing to abolish the position of committee clerk. If you've ever been a committee clerk, you know there's not a whole lot to do, even before the pandemic. And now that we have moved to the online filing for per diems, there's no blue sheets to even sign. So we think this just makes sense. It seemed like a position that didn't have much meaning. And also it really makes clear and provides a more transparent presentation of the minutes. So the committee clerks never really took minutes, at least not in modern times probably. But this makes clear that the committee clerks do not take the minutes, and they do not need to sign the minutes, which sets up a kind of weird, like, who actually wrote the minutes question. And then on the very second to last page, that paragraph number 8 there above 3.10 is just read because we moved that section to the section on organization. So if anybody has any questions now, tonight, we've got Ben and Blair who helped write a lot of this language. They can answer questions now or later, or come to our executive committee meeting on the 23rd. So on March 8th, which is our next county board meeting, we'll vote on these rule changes. And then the new board, which is elected in April, will vote on the same rules package on April 19th at the next organizational meeting. So you got about a month to figure out if you have a question or an issue with anything we're proposing.
Supervisor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Would it be an appropriate time to make a comment about a couple of thoughts regarding the proposed rules?
Certainly. That's
Okay,
what it's for.
thank you. First, I would like to thank Supervisor Renard and the executive committee for all the work that they did on these, as well as Blair and Ben and others that helped with the verbiage. Most of the boards, commissions, and committees, which we have between 2 and 5 members on them. Some of them deal directly with public health and safety. Under 3.06, boards, commissions, committees, and other bodies, and you know what, it would be really great if we could have these pages numbered next time, because it's kind of hard to fish around. Under M, Local Emergency Planning Committee, and then under R, Traffic Safety Commission. Both of these bodies deal directly with the safety of our residents, as well as people that work here in Jefferson County and come here to enjoy the different recreational opportunities that we have. When we look at other counties, such as Calumet County, they have one county board member on their LEPC, their Local Emergency Planning Committee. When we look at Columbia County, they have 2 board supervisors. Dodge County, 1. Ozaukee County, 1. Portage County, 1. Rock County, 2. Juneau County, 2. And Vilas County has 1. Vilas County's ordinance actually states that at least 1 member of the committee shall be a member of their county board of supervisors. There are 2 sentences. There's a sentence at the end of each of those sections which says the board chair may appoint additional members beyond the statutorily required minimum membership, including but not limited to county board supervisors. Going forward, it seems that it would behoove us to consistently have a member of our county board as an integral part of these committees. So please consider going forward that we change that and just strike those 2 sentences, 1 out of each of those sections, and add that at least 1 member of the committee shall be a member of the Jefferson County Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I would say this, take a chance to read this and digest this and get comments or questions or suggestions to the executive committee before our next meeting. That was, what date was it?
March 8th.
March 8th. So if you have things that you'd like to get added in there and we can discuss those and see. Mr. Morris?
Do we need to have a layover vote?
Yeah, that's where we're getting to next. So in general with Supervisor Christensen.
You just mentioned the next executive committee meeting, right? That's on the 23rd of February, not March 8th.
Yeah, 23rd of February, okay.
He was talking, I thought he was asking about
With the
county board.
county board meeting, oh, it's 23rd, that's, so it gets to us by then. Any other questions? Ms. Renard, do you want to move to lay this over as per rule?
Yep, I'll make a motion to lay this over until the county board meets next on March 8th.
Thank you. Second by Supervisor Morris. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, this will be laid over to the next meeting per board rule. Human Resources Committee, Supervisor Brogler.
Resolution number 2021-51. Establishing total annual compensation for county elected officials pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 59.22. On Tuesday, March 10, 2020, the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors adopted Ordinance 2019-18, establishing a procedure to set elected official salaries. The ordinance establishes compensation for constitutionally elected officials at the 70th percentile of comparable Wisconsin counties of the appropriate grade as recommended by the county's classification and compensation consultant. The ordinance further establishes the ability for the county board to adjust the salary during the 4-year period based on the analysis of several factors. The salaries for all 4 years must be determined prior to the April 15, 2022, the earliest time for filing nomination papers for the county elected office. On Tuesday, January 18, 2022, the Human Resource Committee discussed the current market conditions and trends, the internal comparable wages, and Jefferson County's comparable county salaries of the sheriff and the clerk of courts. After analyzing this information, the Human Resource Committee is recommending a 2% increase in each year of the four-year term, 23, 24, 25, and 26 of the sheriff, and a 2% increase for each of the four-year terms, 23, 24, 25, and 26 of the clerk of courts based on the starting salary of the step that is closest to, but not less than, the 70th percentile of comparable counties, the appropriate recommended grade placement, grade 12 for the clerk of courts and grade 16 for a sheriff, effective July 30th, 2022. Therefore, be it resolved that, I'll flip to the end of the resolution, that the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, that the total annual compensation for the county elected officials under Wisconsin Statute 59.221 shall be as follows, effective on the first day of the term of office that begins after the date of the resolution. And you will see that those are mentioned there for each year with these 2% that was earlier mentioned. Be it further resolved that the aforementioned county elected officials are entitled to participate in the Wisconsin retirement system in accordance with state law, and the county shall pay only its share of contributions required by law. And be it further resolved that the aforementioned county elected officials are entitled to participate in the county's health, dental, and life insurance programs subject to the terms and conditions of the programs, which may be modified from time to time under the same terms and conditions for such programs offered for non-represented managerial county employees who are not law enforcement managerial employees. Fiscal note. Fiscal impact from 2022 to 2023, Clerk of Courts, $3,244.80, Sheriff, $17,430.40, Fiscal impact for 23-24, Clerk of Courts, $1,705.60, Sheriff, $2,350.40. Fiscal impact from 24-25, Clerk of Courts, $1,747.20, Sheriff, $2,392. Fiscal impact from 2025 to 2026, Clerk of Courts, $1,768, Sheriff, $2,454.40. Total cumulative fiscal impact for the four-year term from 2023 to 2026 is Clerk of Courts, $23,358.40, Sheriff, $84,011.20. Total cumulative fiscal impact for the four-year term is $107,369.60. Federal insurance contribution, FICA tax, Wisconsin retirement system employees contribution, health, and other fringe benefits will be stated as this resolution and will be part of the budget process for each budget year. I move for passage.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Morris. Discussion. Questions? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Supervisor David,
Yes.
Supervisor Herbst, Supervisor Paulson, Supervisor Herbst,
Yes.
Supervisor Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, we have 27 yes, 1 abstain, and 2 absent.
Thank you. The motion is passed by majority vote. Supervisor Brogler.
Ordinance number 2021-17,
17.
and just clarifying, it is 2021. Okay, just checking. Amending Personnel Ordinance Section HR 0461, Military Leave Procedure, and rescinding Resolution 200450, providing insurance coverage for county employees on active military duty and their families, and Resolution 200451, providing vacation accrual for county employees on active military duty. Resolution 200450 regarding insurance coverage for county employees on active military duty and their families, and Resolution 200451 regarding vacation accrual for county employees on active military duty provides additional benefits for employees on military leave and their families. In addition, the current language in Personnel Ordinance HR 0461, Military Leave Procedure, incorporates several of the elements in these resolutions. Under federal law, there are two options available to most employers for the continuation of employer-provided health coverage for employees on military leave. The first option is to voluntarily continue health insurance under the same terms and conditions as any active employee. The second option is to provide employees on military leave with continuation of coverage rights under the Federal Uniformed Services Employment Reemployment Act that are similar to COBRA. SARA requires that employees provide health insurance coverage based on the regular employer-employee premium rates to persons on military leave for periods of less than 31 days. After this period, the employer must offer the employee COBRA-like coverage provided for under USERRA for up to 24 months. Resolution 200450 provides stacks both options described above by providing 18 months of voluntary continuation, followed by the 24 months of COBRA benefits under USERRA. Also, to ensure that Jefferson County employees do not forfeit accrued vacation during military leave, the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors enacted Resolution 200451, which allows employees to accrue vacation during military leave which can be used after their return. These two resolutions have been reviewed annually by the Human Resource Committee since 2004, and the Human Resource Committee has consistently voted to continue these benefits for county employees on active military duty. On Tuesday, December 21st, 2021, the Human Resource Committee voted to formally incorporate resolutions of 200450, 24051 into the Personnel Ordinance, finding that it's not necessary to conduct annual reviews. This ordinance amends Personnel Ordinance HR 0461 to incorporate the substantive elements of Resolution 200450, providing insurance coverage for employees on active military duty and their families, and Resolution 200451, providing vacation accrual for county employees on active military duty, and to formally rescind Resolution 200450 and 200451. Fiscal note: family coverage for one active duty military member on military leave for 18 months or more has a fiscal impact of approximately $27,012 for insurance benefits under the current 2022 rate structure. Based on the average hourly rate pay for all full-time county employees during 2022 and the average amount of vacation an employee receives annually, the total cost for vacation for one active service member for 12 months is $4,201. I move for passage.
Do I have a second? Supervisor Morris, a second. Supervisor Jekyll, okay. Questions? Discussion? I want to thank the HR committee for doing this. I look back at these resolution dates, and I was the chair of that program at the time, and I'm glad you've incorporated. Apparently we did some halfway decent work back then. Thanks. Thank you very much. Any questions? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the ordinance passes. Resolution, Parks Committee, resolution authorizing a memorandum of agreement between Jefferson County and Groundswell Conservancy. Supervisor Johns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution number 2021-52. Thank you. So authorizing a memorandum of agreement between Jefferson County and Groundswell Conservancy Incorporated. The Jefferson County Parks Department has been working with Groundswell Conservancy Incorporated and the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for over 4 years to acquire a parcel of property along Highway A in the town of Lake Mills known as the Tree Lot property. This 42-acre parcel is located along the edge of Marsh Lake and is indicated in the attached map, which I don't think you have in your packets. If you'd like to see that, we can provide that later. I have it here in my folder here. The parcel is part of the Lake Mills Wildlife Area project boundary and provides opportunity for both public conservation and public access to Marsh Lake and Rock Lake for a variety of nature-based outdoor recreation activities. The memorandum of agreement provides the framework to continue to move forward as a partner with Groundswell Conservancy and the Wisconsin DNR on the acquisition, management, and future development of the tree lot property. The Jefferson County Parks Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on February 7th, 2022, and recommended forwarding to the county board for approval. I'll read a little bit more into this thing so you can kind of get a good idea what this is. Whereas Groundswell Conservancy Incorporated is a Wisconsin non-stock corporation with one of its missions being to manage natural areas, to care for wildlife, and connect communities to the land. And whereas the Lake Mills Wildlife Area is comprised of a diverse variety of wildlife habitat types covering approximately 3,300 acres. The habitat types include open water marsh, large areas of wet prairie, lowland hardwoods with tamarack and oak savanna uplands. And whereas the Groundswell Conservancy has offered to purchase a 42-acre parcel of property, which is located within the project boundary of the Lake Mills Wildlife Area in Jefferson County and has the potential to provide the public conservation land along the east side of the wildlife area and serve as a point of access to Marsh Lake and Rock Lake, providing many opportunities to the public for nature-based outdoor recreation. And whereas the property owner has expressed interest in selling the property to the Groundswell Conservancy for conservation purposes, and whereas the Conservancy has expressed interest in working cooperatively with Jefferson County to manage this property for the benefit of the public, and whereas the Conservancy does not intend to be an active manager of the property and may elect to file for an exemption from property taxes under Wisconsin statutes 70.11, and whereas the Conservancy is seeking acquisition funds to purchase the property and from the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program and other public and private sources which may include Jefferson County. Fiscal note, this resolution grants authority to the county administrator to negotiate the potential purchase of property for future expansion of public use recreational land. Any agreements negotiated relative to this resolution will be brought back to the Board of Supervisors prior to the execution. At this time, this resolution has no fiscal impact. I move to approve this resolution.
Do I have a second? Second with Supervisor Christensen. Discussion, questions? Oh, Supervisor Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess the question I have, I know I've seen this the edge of the property, if I'm not mistaken, it's not too far from your place over there. I have a great thoughts that, if somebody wants to open it up and stuff for access, for public access, but I honestly think us as a county ourselves own enough land for the park system, especially with all the FEMA properties we've ended up with over the years. And it seems to be, we're always asking, how are we going to manage all these properties? And if we're going to invest more money into it, I guess it just bugs me a little bit that it comes to us this way, that we want your help to pay for it, but we're not going to take care of it. You should take care of it for us right off the bat. And it just seems a little bit, how do you want to say, backhanded way to get it to the county. We own a heck of a lot of acreage on the other side of the lake over there with a beautiful park. I think the city of Lake Mills has the beaches along the east side of that lake. I just have a real hard time stomaching this resolution because it's no fiscal money right now for us, but it will be in the future if we go forward with it. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Does anybody? Sorry, Kevin, I thought you had your hand up. Supervisor Johns.
No, I was just moving Mike.
Okay.
Mike.
Supervisor Backlund.
So, and I was kind of going over it too. So they're going to buy it, but then there's I guess a potential here where it says we can buy it from them, and I don't understand.
It's still a negotiating process.
Is that, I guess that's they would buy it and we'd purchase it from them? I guess I'm unclear as to what, not being on the committee, I'm unclear of how that would go down.
Supervisor, that's Administrator Waymire explained the process here.
I'll start and I'll let Kevin jump in case I'm missing something too. So in terms of how this deal is set up, this organization is kind of, they don't hold land. Their goal is to help identify key resources within areas and kind of bring that bridge funding is probably the best way to say it to move forward. They have secured the 50% match already from the state, so they're really carrying that other 50%. So I think part of the biggest thing right now is with the land ownership is more of a negotiation with the DNR is probably where we're at today. What we have presented specifically Kevin's idea back to the DNR is similar in nature to what we did, if you recall, with Cappy's Landing close up to Watertown when that was bought from the boat club at that point in time. And that is owned by the DNR, but then we have more of a maintenance relationship with them. And so we're looking at ways, especially since it's adjacent already to such a large state ownership, that the DNR would look at it potentially being part of that and their ownership as a result versus Jefferson County. That's part of the negotiation that still has to be determined, and that's why it's over, quite frankly. So Kevin, is anything else I missed you need to add, or maybe make sure I didn't misspeak in what I just said too?
I don't think so.
So that's part of what we're trying to work towards. It took so much time because, quite honestly, there was a lot of negotiation in terms of price per acre, but a lot was identifying, for those who know that area, how many actual acres there was, and because it's wet. The other part is, for those who may recall, several years ago on the east side of that road, we were involved in litigation related to the farmer on the other side, because of some erosion issues that were going to the lake. So this area actually was kind of a buffer to protect the lake on the side. So that's the other reason why folks were looking at it as being a positive potential addition from a public standpoint.
Supervisor Morris.
So my question then is the Groundswell Conservatory doing the habitat management, or will a DNR agent be responsible for the habitat management?
Sure, I'll answer that.
Kevin, you want to address that? Okay.
Yes.
Please use the mic, though. You got the mic?
Yep. The goal of the project is we've been working as a partner with the DNR, and this is within the DNR wildlife boundary. So the DNR wildlife area that exists there that wraps around the lake, this directly ties into that. So the goal of acquiring this property would be to add that to the existing DNR property, so that DNR would maintain ownership of it. We want to make sure that we're being a partner with this because we do see value in this being added to, and since it was identified within that project boundary, that it does become part of the wildlife area. So Groundswell's process in this is they do the acquisition and then they turn over ownership to that agency, preferably at this point is the DNR, as it was outlined in that MOU. Hopefully that helps. But we do, if something comes up and Groundswell needs help with the management of this property, we want to make sure we're there as an agency that's going to help with that. If that's in some of those development things that we're a partner in providing access to those resources, that's more of what we do as far as recreational access versus the ownership and management of those wildlife resources. We don't really get into that stuff.
So just a quick follow-up. Does this have any relationship back to years ago, the Glacial Heritage Project?
Not directly that I know, Kevin. I think this was in a much older DNR project area, that wildlife area. It didn't necessarily come out of the Glacial Heritage.
It's in the this project boundary from the DNR is included in that Glacial Heritage Area plan, but all of the DNR wildlife areas have their own project boundaries that were also included in that, so you can find that project boundary in the GHA plan.
Yeah. Supervisor Brockler.
So is the end game for us to own this or for the DNR to own this?
Want to address it again, Kevin?
Yep, the goal is that the DNR owns this property. And similar to kind of Ben said, like Cappy's Landing in Watertown, the DNR owns that property. we worked with them to develop the access site there and then actually manage the boat launch there. The DNR owns it. They provide funding for any of the infrastructure, upkeep, parking lots need to be redone. They're paying for that stuff, but we're a local resource. We mow the grass, do the day-to-day upkeep on the property.
And there won't be that kind of thing here.
There may be some. Do you want to address it?
The hope in acquiring this property is that there will be access to the lake through this site. It's one of the few places that does have some access. The old Highway A road grade goes right to the property and dead ends there and would provide really unique access to that part of the lake.
Supervisor Morris, this is about a third of a mile up the road from me. You know what that is? And matter of fact, I went past it tonight and there was an eagle sitting in a tree there. But there is no access to that marsh lake except getting in on the other side of Rock Lake and going all the way across the lake to the best fishing area in Lake Mills, and there's no access to it. And this piece has been there a long time, and it's non-buildable property. And there was issues that came up in the past with County A when we wanted to move it and straighten it out. So there's some additional buffer area on that side as well.
Right. So my question's related to Supervisor Jekyll's concern is this going to be an ongoing cost? It doesn't sound like it's going to be the same thing that we even do right now for Cappy's Landing. And we're not doing the actual habitat management, so the costs appear to be negligible at this point.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Supervisor Kennard.
I was just thinking if the DNR is going to wind up with this, would we be better off partnering with the DNR again, like we did at the landing up there? I don't see why we need to go with these guys if the DNR, they're going to buy it, give it off to the DNR. You might as well be dealing directly with the DNR and agreeing, and an intergovernmental agreement with them, I guess.
You want to address that, Mr. Waymire?
So I'll respond, I think, to two ways to it. And so first of all, they went as the entity to seek, they're an eligible grantee to receive funds from the DNR for the stewardship grant. And so that's part of how those grants were received. They were the direct applicant for this project to do that. So that was a methodology to get that grant versus us having to do the grant. The other thing is, until we finalize the agreement, the DNR is envisioned this document being a partner in it, but we still have to do some negotiations that go back to the DNR board to see what that looks like. So we need to have a placeholder for that other 50%, and that's what Groundswell is picking up, is that other 50% of the acquisition cost of that. Kevin can tell you there's already people donating funds for that other 50%, and they've not even started really fundraising. So that's the intent, is work with partners to help fund that other 50%. And then as part of this process, parallel to that process, is then figure out the ownership and then the management part of it then too. So did I miss anything with that, Kevin?
No, I do want to make sure that it's clear that I'm not saying in any way that we might not incur staff time or effort or investment to help make sure this becomes a public access. I think that's very likely that we would work with, one of our local entities to make that happen, because that's really our primary interest in seeing this property acquired, is that additional public access is provided.
Any other questions? At this point, just as you understand, we aren't purchasing this property. We're just explaining to you, and we will bring back the actual agreement for you to approve, if that's eventually worked out. Is that correct?
That's right,
Yes.
if it works out.
Okay. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Passes. All right. Resolution authorizing recreation grant application to fund Jefferson County Snowmobile Trail Aid Program. Supervisor Johns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution number 2021-53, authorizing motorized recreation grant application to fund the Jefferson County Snowmobile Trail Aid Program. Jefferson County participates in the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Snowmobile Trail Aid Program, funded by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Motorized Recreation Grant, which provides funding for the development and maintenance of approximately 224 miles of public snowmobile trails in Jefferson County. Applying for these grant funds requires county board authorization. This resolution authorizes the Jefferson County Administrator to submit a Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Motorized Recreation Grant application seeking funds for snowmobile trail maintenance and development, and to administer the funds according to the grant requirements. The Parks Committee considered this resolution at its February 7th, 2022 meeting and recommended forwarding it to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note, the Snowmobile Trail Aid Program is expected to cost approximately $67,320 for the winter of 2022 and 2023. 100% of the cost is funded by the grant, and the anticipated grant funds have been included in the adopted budget for 2022. The Jefferson County Finance Director may make necessary budget adjustments for additional miles. And I move to approve this resolution.
Second from Supervisor Christensen. Discussion, questions? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
Supervisor David,
Yes.
Supervisor Herbst, Supervisor Herbst,
Yes.
Supervisor Paulson, Supervisor Roberts.
Yes.
28 yes, 0 no, 2 absent.
Thank you. The resolution passes. Takes us to Planning and Zoning Committee. Supervisor Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Report to the honorable members of the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Committee, having considered petitions to amend official zoning map of Jefferson County, filed for public hearing held on April 20th, 2017 and January 20th, 2022, as required pursuant to Wisconsin statutes, notice of thereof having been given and being duly advised to the wishes of the town boards and persons in the areas affected, hereby makes the following recommendations. Approval of petitions as listed, dated this 31st day of January 2022, Blaine Paulson, Secretary. And that moves us on to ordinance number 2021-18, amending the official zoning map of Jefferson County. I move for adoption of this ordinance as presented.
Questions? Questions, comments? The ordinance? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none? The ordinance passes. Takes us to appointments by the County Board Chair. By virtue of the authority vested in me under Section 59.548, I hereby request a confirmation of the following appointment: Elizabeth Chilson to the Local Emergency Planning Committee, LEPC, as a public health representative for an indeterminate term replacing Gail Scott. I ask you a motion to approve this. Supervisor Morris, approve, and second by Supervisor Schultz. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, Ms. Chilson is appointed. Brings us to public comment of a general nature. We have none tonight. Announcements. There's a possibility or a tentative early April meeting to deal with the building project before the new board, because the new board meeting isn't until April 19th, and we may need to do some action on this before waiting for that board. Plus, we certainly will have some new supervisors, 8 for sure. And getting them all up to speed on this and trying to vote on it that first meeting after with doing all the organizational things as well. We'd like to have this board handle this because they're already up to date and up to speed on this project. So there may be a potential early April meeting. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Then again, the next official county board meeting is March 8th, 2022. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Well done, an hour and 15 minutes, folks.
All right.
Yeah. Submitted it to differently than it was in our.
S'mores.
In there, so still today.
They beat him?
Yeah.